It's scary to see. Some people around the world live with conditions so rare, you might think they're straight out of a horror movie. But they're 100% real. From skin that turns to stone, to bodies that grow uncontrollably, these are 10 people who suffer from the most unique and rare diseases in the world. Their stories will shock you and make you appreciate your own health even more. Are you new in this video? Click subscribe and hit notification bell, so let's get started. Xianhang, a 59-year-old man from Indonesia, has spent over 5 decades living with a condition that visibly marks his body, but not his spirit. When Tan was just 5 years old, he fell while playing football and hit his face. What seemed like a harmless accident led to a small lump near his eye, an early sign of the tumors that would eventually cover most of his body. At the time, doctors recommended immediate surgery, but fearing further complications, his parents declined. As the years passed, the growths spread slowly but persistently, forming visible tumors across his face, torso, and limbs. Tan has lived his entire life in the same rural village where he grew up. While his condition has drawn fear, stares, and even prejudice from some neighbors, Tan has continued to live with quiet dignity. His family, especially his younger brother Salim, have been his biggest supporters. In an interview, Salim said, "I am proud of my brother. Others are ashamed of him, but he is not inferior. He is normal." Despite the emotional and physical burdens, Tan has tried to lead as normal a life as possible. With limited access to specialized treatment, Tan's journey is one of endurance, humility, and the deep power of unconditional family love. His story, featured by Truly, serves as a moving reminder that courage often wears a quiet face, and sometimes lives in the most unexpected places. Xianhang is a young boy from Wenling in Zhejiang Province, eastern China, who gained national attention for a rare and severe form of the inherited skin disease known as ichthyosis. His condition causes thick, fish scale-like patches of skin to cover large areas of his body, severely affecting his face, limbs, and mobility. Because the disease impairs his ability to sweat normally and causes constant itchiness and pain, Pan struggles with sleeping and performing everyday movements. His arms and legs are restricted by the hardened skin. There is currently no known cure for his form of ichthyosis. Treatments focus on managing symptoms via heavy moisturization, creams, and oils to keep the skin from cracking and becoming vulnerable to infection. Pan's story has been widely featured in Chinese media and internationally as an extreme and visible example of this condition, drawing attention both to his personal plight and to the broader challenges faced by people living with severe genetic skin disorders. Sophia Weaver was born with multiple severe health challenges, including significant facial, hand and foot deformities, and was later diagnosed with both type 1 diabetes and the neurological disorder Rett syndrome, a rare condition that severely impairs motor skills and communication. From around age 3, she became a patient at a children's hospital in North Carolina, where specialists described her as the rarest of the rare, because her combination of conditions, immunodeficiency plus craniofacial plus limb deformities, had only 2 other known families worldwide. Despite the gravity of her conditions, Sophia's family emphasized that she loved music, crafts, and being with her siblings. She was still just a little girl in many ways, even though her body faced such extraordinary burdens. Her mother, Natalie Weaver, became an outspoken advocate for medically complex children. Sophia's daily 24-hour care, dozens of surgeries, around 25 by a certain point, and frequent hospital visits underscored the reality of life for children with very rare disorders and the enormous toll on families. Sadly, Sophia passed away in May 2019 at the age of 10, surrounded by her family. Her passing was publicly announced by her mother, who vowed to continue advocacy in her memory. Kawana Dandara Tavares de Mello is a Brazilian woman diagnosed with Barber syndrome, an exceptionally rare congenital ectodermal dysplasia. This disorder is so uncommon that fewer than 20 cases have ever been reported in medical history, and she is one of the first identified in Brazil. Born with visual impairment that gradually improved, Kawana developed hallmark features of the syndrome: generalized hypertrichosis, excessive hair growth; macrostomia, abnormally large mouth; ectropion, outward turning eyelids; facial disproportion; and atrophic, thinned skin. She exhibits dysmorphic facial features, including a broad nasal bridge, sparse or missing eyebrows, and unusual ear shapes, characteristics that reflect the disorder's complexity. Despite early prejudice, from strangers' stares to hurtful commentary, Kawana embraced her identity and used her condition as a platform for change. As a 23-year-old nurse and influencer, she began sharing her experiences on TikTok and in podcasts, educating thousands and fostering greater understanding around rare diseases. Barber syndrome has no cure. Treatment is largely symptomatic, focused on surgical and dermatological corrections aligned with patient preferences, alongside vision and skincare follow-up. Kawana's cognitive development is reportedly normal, illustrating that while her physical appearance is dramatically unique, her mind and spirit remain unaffected. Kawana's story is a modern testament to the power of self-acceptance and resilience. Despite living with a syndrome that most doctors encounter only in textbooks, she continues to break barriers, inspire others, and bring visibility to one of the rarest genetic conditions on Earth. Meet Austin Nihus, a 17-year-old from Colorado, and Elena Schaefer, his incredible friend from a different state, both born with Goldenhar syndrome, a rare craniofacial condition affecting facial symmetry, ears, eyes, spine, and sometimes internal organs. Austin faced seemingly impossible odds. Doctors feared he might not survive his first birthday. By age 17, he's undergone over 55 surgeries, battling facial reconstruction and breathing challenges. Through school, he was bullied, but never lost his love for basketball, hiking, and fishing. Elena's journey mirrored his. She too was misunderstood, isolated, and bullied from childhood. Everything changed when TLC's 2 in a Million brought them together. Their first meeting was electric, swimming, sharing stories, and quickly realizing they weren't alone. Despite living in different states, Austin and Elena stayed close, bonding over shared experiences online and supported by their families and community fundraisers. Their friendship sent a strong message. Difference doesn't define us, connection does. Goldenhar syndrome may shape their faces, but it never shaped their spirits. Austin and Elena show what courage, resilience, and friendship can accomplish, even when life feels out of balance. Meet Jeff, a warm-hearted individual born with Nager syndrome, also known as Nager acrofacial dysostosis, a rare genetic condition that affects the development of facial bones, ears, forearms, and thumbs, without impacting cognitive abilities. From a young age, Jeff faced a world of stares and unanswered questions. But he quickly learned that the best way to connect was not to hide, but to share his passions. He invites people to get to know him beyond appearances. He hopes that instead of staring, you take the time to talk to him about sports, animals, and Disney. Over the years, Jeff has become a beloved member of the Special Books by Special Kids community. He shares his love for go-karts, his favorite Disney stories, and his unwavering positivity, turning a rare diagnosis into a bridge for connection. Despite facing challenges, including limited mobility, hearing differences, and surgeries to address facial structure, Jeff finds joy in every day. The community he's grown around him isn't just supportive, they've become like family. Next, we have Colby Van Voorhis. Born in Georgetown, New York, Colby Van Voorhis entered the world with an extremely rare genetic condition called thrombocytopenia absent radius, TR syndrome, a disorder so uncommon it affects fewer than 1 in 100,000 births. Due to TAR, Colby was born without arm bones or knee joints, and his hands attached directly to his torso near his shoulder blades. Despite these physical challenges, Colby learned to live independently, feeding, dressing, bathing himself, and even climbing stairs using his own adaptive techniques. He stands at 4 feet 1 in tall, and has embraced humor and positivity to navigate life with grace. Colby adopted the TikTok persona of Armless Freak, using comedy and candid self-talk to build one of the most surprising followings online, over 80,000 followers and 15 million video views. He has said openly, "I make jokes about myself. Videos are my way of making people feel comfortable being around me." Far from letting his condition define him, Colby uses his platform to break barriers, foster confidence in others with physical differences, and invite viewers to look beyond appearances into inspiration rooted in courage and authenticity. Junior Cox Noon is a British baby born in Brighton, England, who captured attention because of his remarkably thick, voluminous hair, even as an infant. When he was just 10 weeks old, media outlets spotlighted his bouffant hairstyle, so full and glossy that his mother, a hairdresser, had to blow-dry it because it took too long to air-dry. Doctors and nurses initially assumed his hair would shed like that of many newborns, but at 9 weeks his mane was still going strong. His mother, Chelsea Noon, shared that during pregnancy she experienced severe heartburn, and in folklore, strong heartburn is sometimes linked to babies being born with more hair. Today, Junior Cox Noon remains a charming example of how some babies defy common expectations, not because of a disease or deformity, but simply by being extraordinarily hair-rich from birth. Tom Tenant was born in 1993 in Southeast Australia with an extraordinarily large amount of extra skin covering his body. So much so that at birth, he appeared to have enough skin to cover a 5-year-old child. From the moment he was born, doctors were baffled. His parents, Jeff and Debbie Tenant, were shocked when they first saw him. They had ultrasounds during pregnancy that hinted something was not quite right, but nothing prepared them for the severity of the condition. Medical experts observed his skin was extremely wrinkled and noticed his body had elevated levels of hyaluronic acid, about 100 times higher than normal. This is similar to Shar-Pei puppies, a dog breed known for its wrinkled appearance. There was no known medical diagnosis at first. The hope was that as Tom grew, he might grow into his skin, and that the extra skin might settle into a more typical appearance. Growing up was not easy. Tom faced teasing at school and social challenges because of how he looked, but he and his family stayed positive. Over time, his skin appearance gradually improved. People reported that though he still looks unique, the excessive wrinkling is much less noticeable now than when he was born. As of recent reports, Tom is married to a woman named Hannah and lives in Frankston, Victoria, Australia. He embraces his uniqueness and shares a message of self-acceptance. Life's simple. You make choices and you don't look back. Amaya Stringer was born with several congenital differences that make her journey unique and inspiring. From pregnancy scans around the 20-week mark, doctors noticed that her legs were not developing, and also that her ears and ear canals had abnormalities. When Amaya entered the world, she was born without legs, a result of caudal regression syndrome, which affects the lower spine and prevents the development of legs and other lower body structures. She also has bilateral microtia atresia, which means her outer ears are malformed or underdeveloped, and her ear canals did not fully form, causing her to be hard of hearing and needing hearing aids. Because of additional issues, she was born with a cleft palate and a recessed chin, part of a condition called Pierre-Robin sequence, which made breathing and feeding harder from the start. Early on, she underwent multiple surgeries. Within the first 6 weeks of life, Amaya had crucial operations to help with breathing, feeding, and correcting facial structure. Her medical journey includes frequent therapies: physical therapy to build strength and mobility, occupational therapy, feeding therapy. Her family's home and routines have been adjusted to support her needs, including using sign language, speaking in tones she can hear, adapting her space, and advocating for awareness of her condition. Despite all the challenges, Amaya is described by her parents as joyful, energetic, and full of spirit. She's shown courage through every milestone. For example, crawling with her arms, learning to do everyday things in her own way, and facing surgeries with strength. Her family hopes that as she grows, she will become more independent and that she'll inspire others going through similar situations. Karine de Souza, from Brazil, was born with one of the rarest and most challenging conditions in the world, xeroderma pigmentosum, or XP. This genetic disorder makes her skin unable to repair damage caused by ultraviolet rays. Even the slightest exposure to sunlight can cause painful burns, lesions, and life-threatening skin cancer. From the age of 3, Karine has been forced to live in the shadows, protecting herself with special clothing, sunscreen, and shade. Over the years, she has undergone more than 200 surgeries to remove tumors, losing parts of her nose, lips, and even a breast to melanoma. But despite the suffering, Karine's spirit remained unshaken. She met her husband, Edmilson, online, and their love story quickly captured attention. In 2023, they welcomed a baby girl, Zaya, a miracle that Karine calls the greatest blessing of her life. Sadly, Karine has faced cruel online attacks, with people labeling her irresponsible for becoming a mother. But she has answered with grace and courage, saying, "Every dream is valid, and mine was to have a family." Against all odds, Karine proves that love, strength, and hope can flourish, even in a life lived without sunlight. The teen who looked like a grandma, Zara Hartshorn, is a girl from Rotherham, England, who was born with a rare genetic disorder called lipodystrophy, a condition that makes her skin age rapidly and appear wrinkled, saggy, and old, even as a child. By the time Zara was just 12 years old, people often mistook her for a middle-aged woman in her 40s. Kids bullied her, adults stared at her, and even bus drivers questioned her age. They called her names like grandma or old lady, completely unaware that Zara was just a young girl fighting an invisible battle. Her condition means that the fat under her skin is missing, which causes her face and body to look much older than her actual age. Sadly, Zara's mother also had the same disorder and recognized the signs early on. Despite her mother's support, Zara struggled deeply with her appearance and the emotional toll of being judged by how she looked. But Zara's story didn't end in sadness. At the age of 16, she flew to Texas, USA, where she underwent a life-changing facelift surgery. The goal wasn't vanity. It was a chance for Zara to finally feel like the teenager she truly was. After the surgery, Zara felt reborn. She said people no longer stared or laughed at her, and for the first time in her life, she felt confident walking in public. Today, Zara is an inspiring figure who speaks openly about her condition. Her story has been featured in documentaries like I'm a Teenage Grandmother, raising awareness about lipodystrophy and the emotional struggles behind looking different. Rezia Begum is a woman from Bangladesh whose right leg has swollen to an extreme size. Reports state it weighs around 60 kilos. She is about 40 years old and a mother of 2. Her swelling reportedly began following the birth of her second daughter, about 18 years ago, when she first noticed abnormal enlargement in her leg. Over time, the swelling worsened, and despite seeking medical help, she has not found a definitive cure. Medical observers suspect elephantiasis, a lymphatic disease often caused by parasites, which can lead to extreme swelling of limbs when the lymphatic drainage is obstructed. However, doctors noted that tests and possible surgery would be needed to confirm the diagnosis. Because of her condition, Rezia reportedly is bedridden and heavily dependent on family support. Her family says she cannot work or help the household, and requires multiple people to help move her. While the reports are dramatic, it's worth noting these accounts are based on media coverage and some social media reposts. There's limited access to peer-reviewed medical documentation confirming every detail. These rare diseases may look terrifying, but behind every condition is a person fighting to live a normal life. Their strength and courage remind us that beauty and bravery come in all forms. Which story shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unbelievable human stories.